it is time to finish up the front end of our stock sentiment analysis. This is how it's going to look at the end of the video. So I hope you're excited. It is finally time to finish this up. Let's jump right into the video. All right, welcome back everyone. This is the last step that we need to do in order to finish our sentiment analysis service for the application. So in the last video, we were able to finish up the backend pretty much, and now we can see our main sentiment being logged, and we look into the information from the Reddit API. And now it is time to move over to the front end so we can actually display the information back into the sentiment analysis page. So let's head over to the front end. Make sure your application is running again, and let's go to the sentiment analysis page where we had a use effect just to call the get sentiment action or server action in order to work on the backend with this default sticker or stock symbol. But now we no longer just want to always fetch the Apple one. So we're going to actually get rid of the use effect here. And we're going to start updating the front end to match our backend, because now we're in our backend. Remember, we are returning this sentiment object with the main sentiment, the post, and the sentiment count. So now let's stay in the main page here, and let's get started with the UI. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to update our use state here because now we have some different types that we can use in order to set some types to this array here. So we're going to import, or we can just type it in here. Let's say the use effect is going to be of sentiment results, or we're gonna keep it at null, right? Or null, because we might not have anything and it's no longer an array. We're going to initialize it to null, because let me hide this here. Remember, now we're returning an object. So initially it's going to be null because we don't have that data yet, but then that object is going to be of type sentiment result. Now let's work on the UI for a little bit, because I want to update what we have here, because this is matching our previous setup for the data. But now we can get rid of everything inside of the div. And let's see, in the main, let's start with some class names here that we're gonna do. Let's keep it there. And then we're going to do in the H1, let's do stock sentiment analysis. And then to the H1 here, let's do class name, and let's start with text dash for Excel so we can see it more clearly. Yep. And then let's just do the rest. So let's do font dash bold, and let's do margin bottom of 4 as well. Now we're gonna go and let's create a paragraph here. And in the paragraph, we're gonna say enter a stock to discover the market vibes, right? Yeah. Or markets vibes. So let's do an apostrophe in here. Cool. And now let's do in the paragraph, let's do a quick class name. Let's do, for this one, let's do just margin bottom -6. And let's do text -XL. And then let's do, okay, that's fine. We can keep it like that. So after the paragraph, we're gonna go inside of the div. And inside of the div, we're gonna have our form. And the form is going to have, let's do a label. And inside of the label, we're gonna have our input. Cool. And on the label, let's do HTML4. Let's say stock-sticker. And let's do on the label a class name. Let's do with-full. We're gonna make this div a flex container, so let's just do that now. And first on the type, on the input, let's do type text. Let's do a placeholder. And let's say enter a ticker, and then do an example here for the user. And we're gonna do, where's this button? Okay, here we go. So let's do just Apple in here. All right, so next we're gonna go and do a little bit of class names here. Class name. And then in here, we're gonna do our type, our different classes, but let's see. Let's go and render the button first. So after the label, I wanna have the button so we can have all the UI elements first. And here we're gonna say analyze. Cool. So let's take care of the CSS. So for the div here, for the main element here, we're gonna have a few elements here. So let's do min-height-screen, so you can take the whole entire screen. Let's do make it a flex container. Let's do flex-column or col items center justify center. Let's do a gradient, so bg-gradient to bottom right. And then we can start from any color you want. I'm gonna pick a different color just to kind of like change it up a bit. So let's do purple 500 and then to dash indigo 600. So everything is centered. We got a nice gradient in here. Feel free to pick any gradient you want. We already have the text white, but let's make sure text dash white. Yeah, we don't need it. It's already white. That's fine. So let's do font dash sans. And let's do padding 6. Cool. All right, so that's for the main. We have our class for the h1, for the p tag. Now this div here, let's add a few classes to this div here as well. Let's do class name. And for this div, we need with-full, and then max-width-md. And then in here, what else we got to do here? Let's make it a flex container, flex-call, and items center. Cool. Now to the form, let's do class name. And let's do width dash full. And let's do flex. And then items, center, and a margin bottom of 4. All right, so now we have the input, which is next. So for the input, let's do width dash full. And let's see what else. Padding x dash 4, margin y dash 2, rounded, let's do dash L dash MD, text dash black, outline, let's set it to none, on focus, effects, let's do a rain dash 2, and then let's do a on focus as well. Let's do a ring dash purple dash 300. So now when we focus, it has that nice purple outline there. And then finally for the button, let's do a bg dash green 400. On hover, we're gonna do bg dash green 500 just to make it a little darker. Let's do font dash bold. Let's do margin padding x dash 4 and padding y dash 2. Rounded to rounded dash right dash MD, so we can match the input. It looks like it's all connected, so that's fine. And then let's do a transition. And let's do duration 300, so it doesn't change color right away. So when we hover, there's a nice soft transition, and that will be it. So now the user is going to type the ticker that they need or that they want to get the sentiment from, like Apple or anything else, and then they will click analyze in there. All right, so now we got the UI. Let me format that in here. And now let's connect the input to a state variable. So we're going to create a new piece of state here. Let's call this one ticker and set ticker. And we're just gonna set that equals to use state. And initial value is gonna be an empty string. Let's also do a state for our loading state. So loading and set loading and initialize it to false. That's good. All right, so let's see what's next here. Let's go into the input here, and on the input, let's just put it right after the type. Let's do a value and let's connect it to our ticker state variable. And we need an on change, so we're gonna say on change event. We're going to take in the event, and we're going to call the set ticker setter function. We're gonna pass e.target.value, Now we should be able to type in here again. Cool. And let's see what's next. So for when the user click analyze, we are going to submit our function. So we're going to definitely need a handler function. And let's just say const handle analyze sentiment. That's going to be a async function. We're going to take in the event of type form data, or not form data, form event, and make sure it gets imported at the top here. And then we're going to do our arrow. Cool. Now let's have a try catch. There we go. Error. Console that error in here for now. So this handler function is going to be called when we submit the form. So I'm going to go here, say on submit, call this function for me. And now in here, we're going to call the get sentiment function that we put together. So let's start here, and first thing, let's do prevent default. Then we're going to check if there's no ticker that trim to make sure we remove any white space. If there's no ticker, we don't want to submit the form, we want to return. And let's just show an alert for now. Let's do alert, because we can do a error message, but for now let's just do this so we can remember. Let's say please add a valid ticker. Right, if we get past from there, we're going to set a loading event to true. So set loading to true. Then we're going to set the sentiment to null, just in case there's already a sentiment there. We're going to set it back to null. And then we're going to say const sentiment data equals awaits. And here we're going to call our get sentiment function. And then we're going to pass the ticker that to uppercase to uppercase. So we can pass the ticker back to the get sentiment function, which is going to come in here. And that is going to give us back some data. So the data, in case something goes wrong and it comes back on the fine, we could go, let's console log the sentiment data here so we can try it. We can test it, and we're gonna say right here if sentiment data is equals to undefined. Let's throw an error here. Throw a new error. We're gonna say error fetching sentiment, and we're gonna say just please try again. Yeah, like that. That's fine. Cool. So if we get past this if statement here, we should now be able to set the sentiment result to the sentiment data that we get back. Cool. So for the error handling for now, let's just do a alert. And let's say, let's just put the e.that message in there. In the alert, E is unknown. We can say E is of type any. And then any unexpected any is specified a different type. Okay. Let's do e.that message. We can keep it like that for now. Let's just keep it with the error in there. And then let's do the finally block here. And in here, we're just gonna set the loading to false. And clear the input with set ticker. Set ticker back to empty strings. All right, so that's our handle analyze sentiment function. This should give us back the data that we returning from the get sentiment here. So this object right here. And now we should have our data inside of the sentiment results. All right, so let's do a quick test, and that way we can, do we have a console log here? We have a console log here for the sentiment data that we're gonna get back. So let's take a quick look. This is in the front end, so let's open up our terminal, clear that up. Let's put Apple in here, hit enter. And it says there's an error fetching, try again. Is everything running fine? Let's try that again. Send it. Okay, there we go. Let's open up the object that we get back. So we get the main sentiment as neutral. We get the 5 posts is in an array. And then we get the sentiment count, which is an object with the negative, neutral, and positive values. So this is what we need to display now to the users. So let's close that up and go back to the UI so we can finish that up. Let me see, here we see you have the error. Let me see, error. Let's do error.message message here as well. And let's leave the type any. I think it gave me an error before. Type any. We'll keep it like this. Let's keep it like this for now because I want to make sure if we get an error, I just see that. But we still have the alert in there, so that's fine. Let's keep it like that. Let's focus on displaying this information. So in the UI, we already have the button and the form. That div ends right over here. So let's see, let's stay inside of that div, but let's put a message here. Let's say loading spinner, like this. And then what we're gonna do here, we're gonna do a curly brackets, and we're gonna check if loading is true. We want to display a spinner, so let's have a div, and then we're gonna have where's the closing div for this? Same level. Let's add a class name to this, and this is going to have, let's say, inside I want to have a paragraph, and we're gonna say analyzing sentiment dot sentiment. Cool. So to the paragraph, let's add a class name. Let's do margin tab -2 so we can give some space from the form. And then to this div, let's do do I want another one? Let's do another div. Let's do text center on this one, and let's do margin bottom -4, because at the bottom we're going to put all the other information. And then we want another div. Let's put the close-in div after the paragraph. And then to this div, class name. And this one, let's do width -8. Let's do height -8 so we can display the spinner here. Let's do border -4. Let's have border make a yellow 400. And let's do border -tab transparent. And what else do I want to do here? Let's do rounded full. Rounded full. And then let's do animate spin. And then let's do margin x-auto. Let's format this. We can take in the formatting. Cool. So in here we have just a spinner. So this div is going to show the spinner when we submit the, let's see. Yeah, so this paragraph needs to be outside because the div is going to be the spinner itself. So this is going to be right next to it. There we go. That's how it's supposed to be. Cool. What is this? Cannot find name div. Okay. Sometimes that shows up for some reason. That's fine. We can keep it like this. Now, let's go ahead and continue down because now we need to start after the loading. Let's stay inside of the div. Yeah, and let's do the sentiment results now. So curly brackets. So let's say here we're gonna set or show our sentiment results, and inside of this curly brackets, we want to show. Let's say if sentiment is true, or sentiment result is true, then we want to show our sentiment in here. In here, let's put a div. I don't know why it's not showing me the close-in div. It's not adding my close-in div. And in here, let's do an h2. The h2 is going to say overall sentiment. And then right after the h2, let's have let's do a span in here, and to the span we want to, because I just want to show the maybe the color or the text to be of a specific color. So let's show the text. So let's do curly brackets. Let's show the sentiment. result dot main sentiment dot, and let's make it to uppercase, like so. There we go. So now we have overall sentiment, and right now it says neutral. And we're gonna do the styling in a second now. Let's go and let's see. Let's put everything inside because I want this to be like in the same line. So let's move the closing of the H2, the closing tag. Let's move it down after the span. And then let's do like a space in here. Just a literal space right there. That's fine. Cool. Format it, and that's what we have for now. And let's style it a little bit so that way we don't have to come back up when we continue. So for this one, let's do on the div class name, let's do width dash full bg dash white because I want to display everything in white or any color you want. Let's set the text so we can see it to black. There we go. Let's do a rounded LG to the div. Let's do a padding of 4. Let's do a shadow large, and then margin tab dash 4. Margin shadow. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. Now on the H2, let's do a class name, and to the H2, I want the text to be large. I want font dash semi bold. And then let's do, what else? Let's do semi bold. Let's do text center. Text center right here. And what happened with my space here? All right, so to this pen, so I want a little bit of color behind the sentiment here to see it better by some color coding here. So let's do a class name on the span, and actually let's do curly brackets. Let's do a literal or template string. And here we're going to check for sentiment results, and then dot main sentiment. If it's equals to positive, then we want to show the background on green text. So let's do text dash green dash 500. And yep, let's continue. Else we want to do, let's say, yeah, if sentiment result that main sentiment is positive, we want green. Else sentiment result that main sentiment, if it's equals to let's do negative, we want, let's do question mark, and let's do the text in red, 500. And then finally we do else. We want the text to be like a light gray or dark gray. What will look good? Like something like this. 400. Let's do 500. All right, let's do a quick fetching again. Let's do IBM. Let's hit analyze. Error fetching again. I think my API is running out. Let's see what's going on. Okay, there we go. So is neutral. So right now it's just grayed out, kind of like a gray color. That's fine. We'll try another one in a second. This should be working. And let's see. After the H2, let's do more space here so we can make sure we stay inside of the main div. This div here. Oh no, this div is going to close in there. Let's see. Should we put it outside? No, we can stay inside. Let's stay in here. Let's do another div. Close the div. And inside of this div, we are going to, let's show the pose, right? We show the main sentiment. Now let's show the different pose that we have. So let's do an H3. And let's say this is the pose. Highlights. Like so. And then what else we're gonna do? Let's since pose is an array, right? This is the pose is an array. We're going to, after the H3, let's do curly brackets. And in here, we're going to do sentiment result that pose, and then dot length if it is greater than 0. Right? Is it greater than 0? We're going to do a map here. So we can do sentiment result dot pose dot map, and we're going to grab each pose and their index. So let's do pose comma idx, and then we're going to do a return here, so we can return a div. Close this div. The div, let's do our key prop key, and let's set that to the idx. Where's my idx? And what else? Let's do inside. Let's have a, so for each pose, we want to render an H4 now. And inside of the H4, we want to render the pose dot title, or let's say on title pose, on title pose. In case there's no title. And then what else? Let's keep the H4 there. Let's do for the next one after the H4, we got the post title. Let's do now the sentiment. So do we want to do the sentiment here? Yeah, we can display the sentiment for each pose. And then what else should we display? And let's see. Yeah, I think this would be fine. I just let's do it like this. And if you want to display some of the text about the post, you can do that as well. or display a link or anything like that, you can switch it up a bit. So in here, we're gonna do sentiment, and then let's do another. Let's copy the span that we did. So we're gonna copy, let's say this here. Copy that, bring it right onto this. But let's do that inside. Let's do the same. Let's do the same span. Let's copy the whole span. No, let's do a span. Right, if we do a span, we can just copy the class name that we did here, so we don't have to type all of that again. Let's go and hit enter here. Let's paste it right here. But instead of sentiment result, we can just change all of this to just say post that sentiment. All right. Unexpected main. Post sentiment does not exist on type parse pose. Let's see what happened. Let's comment this out. Analysis page. What did I break? Let's go back. Let me copy that. And let's delete it. Let's see what went wrong here. If I deleted something else. Go back. Just go back. I don't know what I did wrong. Sentiment. This closes here. It should be fine. Okay, yeah, because I'm inside. Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. Let's go back. Let's do Control Y so we can put this back, because I think I just getting ahead of myself, because this is fine. And then in here, let's do else so we can get rid of this error, because when I saved it, it just broke everything. So let's say no pose available in case there's no pose available. Come on. And then for this ticker, we can do that. Right, and then what is this here? So sentiment does not exist on type parse pose. I forgot to put the sentiment on this type definition. Okay, before I switch file, let's do in here curly brackets, and then let's do the pose dot sentiment, which right now I think I forgot to add it to the parse pose type that we declare, but we're definitely getting that. Let's do IBM. Okay, what's going on with my API? And let me give it a quick refresh. I think that's my Reddit API that is messing up. And analyze. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have, yeah, we're getting the value, the post sentiment, but the problem is that we don't have, let's put a little space, where's this? Sentiment in here, space, literal, empty space here. So we can post that to the side. And then we just have to add the styling to this, but before we do that, let's get rid of this error So let's go really quick to our types and to the parse pose. We need to add the sentiment that I forgot to add. Save it. Okay, that went away. But now these two are red. What's going on here? Sentiment string or no. Content. No, it's not. Okay, so okay, so the return value could be null. So in here, inside of the getSentiment function, let's make sure that if we have a null value, we have maybe a default value. So let's go to in here. So when we get the sentiment, so this value, this content could be null from the completion API. So let's do or neutral, because that way it's just not positive or negative. So we can just keep it neutral in case we don't have any content in there. Cool. All right, that took care of that. Let's go back to the UI. And right now, let's add the styling to this section here. So let's see if we do this one quick. Starting by this div here. So let's see. Yeah, let's start here. Class name. Let's do margin tab and -4. H3. Let's do font -bold text -LG. What else? Let's go down to the div. Let's see. H3. We got this intimate. Let's go to this div here. Let's do a class name. Let's do border -bottom. And then let's do on the last. So we had this border here, but in the last one, we don't want border. So let's do last colon border -none. Yeah, okay, went away now. And then let's do padding y-2. Cool. Now, what else we got to do? Let's go to the H4 here. Class name. And let's do just font-semi-bold. Okay, let's go to the P tag here. And let's do text-sm small text-grade dash. Let's do maybe 500, 600. Sentiment. Kind of like there we go. Or 700, so we can read it a little bit better. What else? So we got the span already. I think that's everything we need to do here. So right now we see that this is a positive post. This one was positive, this one was neutral, and this one was positive. So the only thing we're missing to display it is the count, right? So the how many let's get rid of this use effect here. So in here, we're gonna keep it like that, that's fine. So yeah, the only thing that we're missing, let's format this really quick. And the only thing we're missing to display now is the count of the positive and negative and neutral posts. because we already have that available. So let's do this real quick. So let's do div, close the div. Let's do inside of the div, let's do an h3, and let's say sentiment summary, like so. And then let's see, we're gonna display a p tag, and inside of the p tag, let's do, let's say positive, and then we need to display how many positives we have. So we're gonna do sentiment result, that's sentiment count dot positive, and then let's do a pipe here to kind of like divide the positive and the negative, and we're gonna do the same here. So sentiment result, that's sentiment count dot negative, and let me copy that down, put another divider there, and then this is gonna be the neutral. Neutral here. See how it looks. Okay, that's fine. 4 positive, 0 negative, 5 neutral. All right, cool. So let's see, what else do we have? We only displaying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got to do another quick test on this. So for this, let's just do the styling, because this is pretty much the last thing we got to do. Class name, margin tab -4. Then on the h3, we're gonna do class name, let's do font -bold, and set the text to LG. And then on the p tag, let's just do class name, and let's do text -small. I think that's fine. Let's see how it's gonna look with some small text. That's fine. We can keep it. It's readable. All right, so let's go ahead and give it another test. So I'm gonna go to advisor again. I'm gonna go to sentiment analysis. I'm gonna go here and type IBM, hit analyze. I'm getting this error from my API. Let's try that again. I gotta check why is it doing that. And then we have our post highlights, and then we have positive, 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 neutral, and positive. So 1, 2, 3, 4 positive, 0 negative, and neutral we have also 5. That doesn't make sense. Let's see how many are we getting? Let's take a quick look back at the get sentiment. And I think we're only fetching. Am I doing this correctly? I think the neutral is getting some extra values added to them. Positive, negative, neutral is probably getting something else added to them. And I'm only getting 5, so it should be, yeah, I think there's something that is giving us their own value there, and I can take a look into that and update this. But right now we're pretty much displaying all the information that we need. The only thing is this type any, which is right now is messing everything up. But in here we have the UI. We can try another one. Let me give it a quick refresh, just so we can try. Let's do like Google. and then hit analyze. Okay, gotta do a little bit debugging there to make sure that's just the API, because I gotta do it twice. Let me check the terminal. Ooh, negative sentiment on Google. So let's see. We have 2 positive, 3 negatives, 1, 2, 3, and 2 neutral. I think some of the logic is probably there's a little bug in there that I gotta take a look to see if either that is misinterpreting the response or I'm adding the wrong thing in there. But I'll take a look into that. But let me see what happens on here. Syntax error. Okay, I gotta look into this one too before we try to deploy or work on another service. So yeah, this is all I wanted to do in this video. It's already pretty long, so I just want to stop here, and in the next one we'll correct the bugs that are right now affecting the application, and then we'll decide to either deploy or work on a new service. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.